Future Stars Friday at Keeneland, the Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships. A couple of very important juvenile races on the agenda on both turf and on the dirt, including the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Up the point, Scott Shapiro, for the road to the Kentucky Oaks. Now 30 points to the winner. And it looks like there's two major preps that everybody's going to be looking at moving forward, and several horses in both preps that I think have a big shot in this race.
I would agree with that, Joe. I think you're speaking of the grade one for Zed at Belmont, as well as the Alcibiades at Keeneland, which both were pretty solid groups. And yeah, I mean, this race came up a lot of fun, full field, lots of speed to the inside and the outside, particularly the outside. But I thought this was one of the most enjoyable or exciting races to wager on as we head into the big 2 days at Keeneland. And I think it's by far the best wagering race on Future Stars Friday. So let's dive in.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got a 7-2 morning line favorite in Chocolate Gelato, who might go a little bit shorter than that, but not going to be an overwhelming favorite. Like we said, several different ways you can go. And you mentioned, Scott, the speed to the inside and the outside. There were a couple of horses on the outside of the field and Leave No Trace and Raging Sea that kind of sort of want to be forward. Chocolate Gelato, Grand Love, you would think would try to go to the lead. Wonder Wheel, who went gate to wire in the Alcibiades, and then You're My Girl as well. And You're My Girl, of those horses, if she doesn't need to be on the lead with that inside draw going a mile and a 16th at Keeneland, she could get the right trip.
Huge advantage to be along the inside in these mile and a 16th races at Keeneland. That outside voyage can be very tough to overcome. You're going to either have to find a way to clear, hope that the field separates maybe real quick into that first turn, which is unlikely, or you could be caught wide throughout. So I am going to certainly take that well into account here, handicapping this race.
Chocolate Gelato, as I mentioned, Scott, the lukewarm favorite. She did win the Frizette last out. It was over a sloppy racetrack, came from a little bit off the pace, made a big middle move. She got to the lead, and then she seemed to idle a little bit. You're My Girl did come back at her. Leave No Trace was third. I thought Leave No Trace kind of sort of got the worst of that trip.
Yeah, she didn't break very well that day, and she's a horse that's been on the lead going shorter distances in both of her starts. She'll need to get out of the gate better, and if she does, I would expect a very aggressive ride from Jose Lezcano to try to overcome that far outside draw. But to me, Chocolate Gelato at the price is a horse I'm willing to take on. You mentioned the idling. I was not very pleased with that. I thought she got the absolute right trip, albeit over a sloppy going. Now has to prove to me not only that she can finish the deal at a mile and a 16th better than she finished the deal in that 1 mile, 1 turn event at Belmont, but also that she can get the distance. I mean, there's a lot of horses in here you could question whether they're going to be 2 turn types in the end, but I think this is too wide open to swallow that short price. You're My Girl, though, Joe, who you mentioned with, is the horse I ended up landing on. I think she's a serious New York bred for John Terranova. Couldn't have won any easier on debut at Saratoga when she sat just off the early pace and cruised home, which bodes well. She doesn't necessarily need the lead, but with the inside draw, I think Johnny B is going to try to get the lead. Hopefully, if it's, contentious and the outside horses are all out, he can do what you said and maybe sit the pocket. But I like You're My Girl quite a bit at 10-1.
Yeah, you mentioned the outside draw completely, in most cases, being detrimental, but I think that's going to help my price quite a bit. I was surprised by 20-1 on Leave No Trace, who was super impressive, stalking pounds on debut. She backed it up in the spin away with a professional effort, defeating Wonder Wheel, who came back and won the stake at Keeneland. Then it was third last out. She broke slowly. She was in the pocket. She was held up a little bit. She got outside. The winner got the jump on her, and the horse that ran second was already in front of her at 20-1 in the morning line. Even, Scott, if I get 12-1, I'm going to take my chances that Jose Lezcano can somehow work a trip in and out of that first turn. I got a pretty good feeling that I'm going to know very early on the backstretch if I've got a legitimate shot or not.
Well, no doubt she's a talented daughter of Outwork. The outside post is a concern, as we've talked about. The pedigree doesn't necessarily scream 2 turns to me, but this is a wide open event where both of us clearly looking to prices here. Yours will be better than mine with that outside draw with me with You're My Girl. Another horse I wanted to throw out there that isn't exiting the race in New York, but is exiting the Alcibiades is Chop Chop, who I think was best in that grade 1 event. Wonder Wheel won it, but had the favorable voyage on the front end, along the inside that day, just held off Chop Chop, who got out of the gates poorly, had traffic issues throughout, and still almost got the job done. What are you thinking of Chop Chop in this spot?
I agree with you 100%. I was going to bring her up, and I think she's got a lot better tactical speed than she showed in the Alcibiades. She showed it in the starts prior on the turf at the Kentucky Downs and Ellis. Not pressing type speed, but middle of the pack type speed, which should put her in perfect position behind several horses that want to be forward. Agree with you completely. She lost all chance in the Alcibiades basically when she broke slowly, and then she still almost won the race after being covered up throughout. Scott, any quick final thoughts on this race? I think it's a race that maybe you want to spread, or maybe you want to take a stand with a horse that you really like. You're 10-1 on the line, and I'm 20.
Yeah, I'm going to build my vertical wagers around You're My Girl at 10-1 on the line. I think she might get a little bit overlooked because of the New York bred factor, and John Terranova, very capable, but not a high profile barn. Leave No Trace for you, 20-1. You're going to be salivating, as you say, I bet, when you see 26-1 because of that outside draw.
The wagering menu at Keeneland for the Breeders' Cup is absolutely sensational. Don't forget there is a daily double from the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies on Friday into the Breeders' Cup Distaff on Saturday. Watch and wager on the races at Twin Spires, and don't forget to opt into that money-back offer. All the races that are eligible Friday and Saturday at Keeneland. If you bet a horse to win and they run second or third, we'll give you up to $10 back. Best of luck and enjoy Future Stars Friday at Keeneland.